Kevin's education includes 4 master's degrees, ranging from mechanical engineering to national security strategy. He has served as a leader in many dynamic environments and with all types of people. And Kevin is going to speak to us today about how to both create change and sustain change in his workshop that is titled Leading Change. So please, Toastmasters, give a great, great big round of applause to Kevin Branch.
For a moment, I thought he was going to give me that reveille, and it might have given me flashbacks. A long time ago, that went off with me about 4:30 in the morning. So, yeah, I didn't really like that sound. Good morning, distinguished guests and members of the Toastmasters International. It is my pleasure to be here with you this morning and share a small message with you on leadership. We already talked a little bit about leadership this morning. I just want to target that conversation just a little bit, to have a conversation with you about leading and change, which is important because our world is constantly changing on a regular basis. But before I start to get into the message about leading and change, I want to go back to the basics just a little bit and talk about leadership and defining leadership. I can remember over 3 decades ago as a young student in junior ROTC, and I was in class and I'm reading this chapter, and it talked about leadership and what the definition of leadership was. It's a fairly simple definition. It stated the ability to guide and direct others to accomplish a common task. Pretty simple, right? And I looked at the next paragraph. I said, well, what is a leader? And it said, a person who possesses the ability to guide and direct others to accomplish a common task. Well, it's pretty simple. I could do that. I could lead. I can motivate people. I can influence people. And I took that and I ran with it. So I progressed on, and I moved into college, where I participated in different clubs and organizations and volunteered to be a leader. And I applied those simple concepts that I picked up. I ran into a couple obstacles. As I was trying to influence and guide and direct those people, it was a little bit different because there was other things starting to take place in those environments. People were from different cultures, right? There was more diversity, different regions. It wasn't like when I was in high school and everybody was from the same neighborhood, same environment. We were all Southerners from Memphis, where I grew up. So I understood those people. Now I'm in this different environment with people from all over the country, all over, from different regions, different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, and everything. It became a challenge trying to apply these skill sets. So I had to adapt. And I started to read a little bit more about leadership. As I progressed on, I graduated from college, moved on to become a lieutenant in the U.S. Army. I hit my first major leadership challenge when I was selected to be a platoon leader. If you don't know what a platoon is, it's about 40 people that you're in charge of. And the distinction of being a platoon leader in a field artillery battalion from other Army battalions is that in a infantry battalion, there's about 12 to 16 platoons. But in a mechanized field artillery battalion, there's only about 6. So if you're selected to be one, it's a pretty big deal, right? So I was feeling real good about myself, getting this opportunity to lead this platoon. So as I sat there with my battalion commander, he stated to me, he said, Kevin, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news, I'm giving you a fire platoon. The bad news, I'm giving you 2nd platoon of Bravo Battery. Everybody knew 2nd platoon of Bravo Battery was not a good platoon to have. If you guys looked at I'm probably aging myself, if you guys remember the old Rudolph movies with Baby New Year and the Island of the Misfit Toys, yeah, that was 2nd platoon. That's what I was saying. I was like, okay. Adversity is kicking in. But adversity, we know it really brings out the best in leaders, right? So all these different obstacles and this change is really starting to converge on me at this time. So I took on 2nd platoon, right? And as soon as I was assigned a new platoon sergeant as well. We got together, we talked about this is our approach, this is our plan, this is our strategy, this is how we're going to move forward, trying to change the culture in this organization and make it a great organization. We started off by bringing all the soldiers in and just giving them talk. Hey, right now we're an ambassador. Note, even though I was new, I stated we are an ambassador because now I'm a part of the second platoon. So if they suck, I suck, right? So now I said, we are an embarrassment. We have so much potential, so many things we can do, so many ways that we can be better. I'm going to challenge you guys to do better. I set very bold goals for us. We're going to have top guns. We're going to be the best platoon. We're going to do all of these things and we're going to do it together. Yeah, I got some looks. Yeah, whatever. Okay, we'll see. We start pushing. And we start pushing, we started to put together and enact our plan. And enacting this plan, we started to look at what we had. I started to look at the leadership in the platoon. And you know, in every organization, you have your official leaders and you have your informal leaders. Sometimes those informal leaders, they wield a lot of power, don't they? So it's really good to get them on board, to get the buy-in from those informal leaders to try to radiate your message throughout the organization. And that's what we started to do. We started to get buy-in and we focused on training. We developed the mission statement. We developed our essential tasks to achieve our mission. And all those supporting tasks go along, we focused on them. We actually, in the back of my office, there's a big wall where I placed a board with every essential task and every supporting task and everyone's name on there and tracked exactly where they were with respect to accomplishing their respective individual goals. And we tracked it and we developed that. And we communicate that goal to them on a regular basis. That's all we talked about, to the point we got t-shirts made with our goals on it. So every time we went out to run in the morning, they donned those t-shirts, they understood what we were about. We were communicating that vision constantly. Removing obstacles away from them so they can do their jobs. At the same time, as we identify those young, aggressive, hungry leaders, those people who were receptive to what we were feeding them, we identified them, we empowered them. Those who were resisting, we identified them and we put more focus on them to bring them into the fold, to get them to buy into what we were trying to do. But more importantly, we had to show that it was working. We had to get some small term wins. So we started scheduling things like inspections, different competitions, etc., to show them that this way is actually going to work. So we started getting wins. And then shortly thereafter, Top Gun competition came around. There are 3 guns and an artillery mechanized platoon. We placed 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Top 3 out of 5. Right? The next month, platoon competition, place number 1. There was such a margin between us and the next organization, they thought we were cheating. That's how big we won. We blew them out, off the map. But we worked hard, trained, we delivered a message. We got them to buy in and believe. We changed that culture of that organization. And we didn't stop there. We continued to build on that change by assessing ourselves on a regular basis, looking at where we're weak, looking at areas where we're strong and sustaining those areas, not slipping and losing traction in those areas that we were strong. We focus on that too, right? We build on that change and we anchored it in and it became the culture. And the reputation was, hey, look, don't go to second platoon. They work hard. You're going to hustle if you go to second platoon. And we did very well. And I took those traits with me as I went on through my career. And I really didn't understand what I was really doing at the time until I became a major and I enrolled in the Command General Staff College. And one of our leadership modules, we talked about leading and change. And we talk about a gentleman, a professor at Harvard named John Carter, who put out this 8-step change model where he talked about leading and change. It's laid out a script for a leader to follow. And I started really thinking about what he had in that model. I said, oh, I've been doing that for a decade. Almost step by step. And his 8 steps are pretty simple. It's establish a sense of urgency, creating a guiding coalition, developing a vision, a mission, a strategy for an organization, communicating the vision, removing obstacles and empowering subordinates, creating short-term wins, building on change, and anchoring in changes. I just walked you through that model when I gave you my example with my platoon. Establish a sense of urgency. Remember, I talked about when I got there, the first thing I said, we got to do better. We have potential, we're much better. You suck, we got to do better. We established a sense of urgency to get better, right? Talking to those subordinate leaders and getting the buy-in. We created that coalition. We created that buy-in. We eliminated that mentality of us versus them. And we created an environment where it was about us and us being our best at what we were planning to do and accomplish as well. Developing a vision, the mission statement, the mission essential task, understanding exactly what was expected of each and every one of them. They knew and they bought into it and they understood and they valued it. Right? Communicating the vision. The t-shirts. We got ready to run, you done that t-shirt, you knew what we were about excellence. Second platoon was about excellence. And when you talk to me, that's all I wanted to talk about. Good morning, how you doing? Let's talk about the mission. How we doing on the mission? How we doing on these tasks? I didn't want to talk about anything else. And at the end, how's your mom? You doing all right? Good. The kids good? Yeah. All right, let's get on that mission. But we communicated it constantly to the point that it became second nature, what we were trying to accomplish there. Removing the obstacles. There's no such thing as I can't do this because of that. If it was something at my level, I took it to my boss. If it was something that I had the authority to change, I changed it. If it made sense, we changed it. And we empowered our subordinate leaders to not be afraid to step up, speak up, and be heard. It's amazing how quick an organization can change when you empower subordinates. You make them feel empowered to step up and speak up on topics, particularly in this day and age, because things are changing so fast. And I hate to say it, but they're learning a lot faster than we are as well, because they're more immersed in the technology than we are. So you got to listen to them. Removing those obstacles and creating the short-term wins. We were doing great in inspections. We were doing great physical fitness. Our scores are always going up because we're always training. But when we went out there and we got the top 3 of the 5 top guns, that was big. It was huge. They became believers. It's really going to work. They were no longer losers. We were walking around, extra pep in the step. Extra pep. Chest way out. Not from bench pressing either. It's from confidence, right? Out there, getting those wins. And we built on that change. That board, we still monitor that board no matter how good we did, how well we were doing. We still monitored what we were doing on that board. You're falling short. Okay? You got to put in some time. We got to work hard. We got to sustain this. And then finally, anchoring in that change. That became our culture. That became the way we did business in that organization. We anchored in the change. We completed the 8-step model. And it worked. And I can tell you, it worked again and again and again. Because after I fixed that platoon, in my career, I became a fixer. So the worst unit at every base I went to, guess who got it? From being a company commander twice, 2 bad companies. Battalion commander, when I took command of my battalion, it was ranked number 13 out of 13. No one wanted to go there. In 6 months, we're ranked number 1 out of 13. 4 commanders later, that battalion is still performing in the top 5 out of 13 consistently. We anchored in a culture. That's the power of leadership. Very powerful. Very simple concepts, but so powerful, right? And you ask yourself, well, Kevin, that sounds cool in your Army world, but how's that apply to me in the Toastmasters? We talked about these different levels of organization, the district, the divisions, right? The areas. Each one of those have leaders. And we're pulling our personnel, our members from the communities, a very diverse community, many different types of people, many different opinions, right? So every day you go into, or every week, or whatever your frequency is, when you go into a meeting, you're going to get challenged, right? We're not talking about people from 50 years ago who were kind of kept quiet. We're in a world that's very flat and information is available at the snap of a finger. So people are smart and they will challenge you. How do you adapt to that? How do you address those people? By simultaneously empowering them to continue to speak up, even though they're annoying you, right? It's important, particularly in an organization. And when I first heard about Toastmasters, they said Toastmasters is a place where you learn how to do public speaking. Many of my peers throughout my military career joined Toastmasters to become better public speakers. As a military leader, you're expected to speak in front of audiences, particularly your formations. But also just learning more about the organization, that critical goal, building leadership skills, leader development. No one really thought about it from that perspective. But it's in your moniker. It's part of your goals. It's who you are, building leaders. That's powerful. That's why this applies. Building leaders and teaching those leaders how to operate, maneuver, and be successful in change. It's very important. Leading change, it enables leaders to become more agile, more adaptive, more fluid, more proficient. It takes good organizations and make them great. And I know that's just what you guys want, to be great, right? And that's why this is important. Particularly now where we're living in a world where the future's always uncertain. So many dynamics around the world, so many things are changing, so many things are happening, the technology. Now is the time where we're in even more desperate need for great leaders to adapt to all these unknown, this never-ending change. And you guys play a key role because you're developing leaders. You're training those leaders. You're preparing those people within your walls to go beyond and excel. And that's why it's important. It's been a pleasure to speak to you guys today. I'll be around a little bit after lunch. I would love to talk to anybody, but thank you so much. And it is definitely an honor to have had the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you.